We're going to make a frame bag. This is the frame bag we're going to make. This is the drive side with the top zip and the bottom zip, and you can see that there's an overlap with the upper panels above the zip, giving it. The bag has got a ladder webbing all the way up the front, over the top, down the back. You can see that this point here the bag is drawn in, and that's because of the Velcro that we put on the inside. All you really need is a pen and a bit of cardboard behind the frame, and simply trace around the inside of the triangle. Draw around this template onto some cleaner card, because this is not a very nice bit of cardboard. And then I'm going to put some scribe marks on the long edges. These scribe marks that we put on, just to explain why we put them on, you can put as many of these scribe marks on all the way around your template, around the edge where the seams are, and you transfer these scribe marks onto both the left and the right hand panels, the drive side and the non-drive side panels, so that when you do end up joining the bag together, you've got one side of the bag, you've got the other side of the bag, and if the scribe marks line up, then it stays parallel. But if you make a mistake and maybe pull the fabric more on one side than the other, then you can start to get a little bit of a skew going on, and the bag just won't look very nice. Now I've drawn on the position for my zips. I'm going to have a top and a lower zip, and this is the drive side. Cut the panel out, leaving a 10mm seam all the way around. Now I've cut along the zips and separated the three panels. This is the important bit. What I've done is I've added on some folds, and I will just explain from the top down. So if we look at the top panel, this line here was the original line. What I've done is I've added on another 5mm. This is going to be our fold line, and then from there I've added on another 40mm. The middle panel has got 10mm, which is the same as the seam width, added on at the top, and this is your fold line. We've added on an extra 5mm, another 40mm. The bottom panel, 10mm at the top, which again is the same as the seam. This is your fold line. The reason for adding the 5mm on is so that we have an overlap of this panel onto this panel, and another overlap of this panel onto this panel when they're joined together with the zip stitched on. This is just to show you what you'll be doing. You'll be folding it on that fold line. I've folded over the extra 40mm flap on the top, so that now is the finished size of that panel, and I've folded over the extra 10mm fold on this panel. So these two edges are now the finished sort of edges, and what will happen in reality when the bag goes together is the top one will overlap, and the top edge of this middle panel will correspond to this red line here, which is 5mm up, and that's the overlap, and behind all of that will be the zip. And then we go through the same process here. Just to sort of highlight and explain what I've been trying to describe is you've got this top panel is overlapping the bottom panel by 5 millimeters, and the same thing will apply to the bottom panel. So this is the drive side. You go through the same process for the other side, but on this side, the non-drive side, there's just one zip. So I've got all the bits assembled to show you what you will need to make your frame bag. So you'll need a ruler. I've got some Ventura tape, which is sticky back tape. This tape is 5mm, so it's ideal for sticking the zip down. A white pencil or a normal pencil or a pen, really good pair of scissors. I've cut the drive side. There's the top panel, middle and lower, and this is the non-drive side. That's just got two panels, top and lower. Those black things are the zips, and then we have a long piece, which is going to be the bit that goes all the way round the frame bag and joins, one side to the other. Over here we've got some 50mm polypropylene webbing and some 30mm polypropylene webbing. These two black strips are for the Velcro to stop the bag from bellowing, and then this piece is the middle of the bag. So the bag actually has 3 layers, the drive side, the non-drive side, and a middle layer which actually creates the envelope pocket, which will be on the non-drive side. Here we have the panels cut and folded now. So we have the top part with a 40mm fold, the middle section with a 10mm fold and a 40mm fold, the bottom section with a 10mm fold. Just to be really clear, when I put the panel on, there is a 10mm seam allowance all the way round, but there is also 5mm extra. The middle panel lines up with the top. I've got 10mm seam allowance at both sides, and you can see again the fabric extends below the template by 5mm. The bottom panel lines up exactly at the top of the fabric. The template is right at the top of the fabric. I've got 10mm all the way round. So that's the drive side. 3 panels all ready to have the zip put on. The non-drive side is the same. I have a 40mm fold, and when I put the template back on, like so, you can see there's 5mm sticking out of the bottom, and I've got my 10mm allowance all the way round. And then for the lower section, the template just lines up exactly with the top of the panel, but I've got my 10mm seam allowance all the way round. What we'll do now is prep the zip. The zip actually needs to be shorter than the length of the bag where the zip is being attached, so from here to here. You need to cut 2 pieces which are the same width as the zip. You then fold these in half and then cut the zip down so that it falls within the seam line. There's a seam line, so it's just back from the seam line there, just forwards of the seam line there. Stick one of the tabs at the end, at one end, and make it the front end of the bag. That's the pointy bit. And then what we're going to do is with our slider, we're going to slide the slider onto the zip. You can see I've got the slider on the zip now, and I've got tabs at both ends, and they do overlap the overall length of the bag. I'm sticking the zip onto the bottom panel, the top of the bottom panel, with the bottom of the zip lining up with the bottom of this fold here. What you can see is that the zip itself stops, like I say, just before the seams. And the reason for that is the zip is a little bit bulky, and you don't want that bulk going into the seams when you're putting the bag together. And this is what it looks from the outside. These tabs, they sort of act like a nice little stopper for the zip. Looks nice and neat. And then you just, trim off any of the excess. When you stitch it together, you want your stitch to be pretty close to the end of the panel here. You can stitch across the zip over these tabs if you like. That stops the zip coming apart. If your machine won't do it, then all you do is you turn it over and you just melt the end of the zip. You can see there the end of the zip is melted. Do the same at this end, and that stops the zip itself from coming undone by accident. So that's how you attach the zip to the lower panels. Do the lower panels first, and then once you got your zips stitched on there, you can then grab the panel above and just lay that on top, so that you've got your 5mm overlap. Here's my stitch, close to the edge. We got glue all the way along the top of the zips, and what we're going to do is we're going to overlay the top panel onto the middle panel, and the middle panel onto the bottom panel. Now you want the zip stitched on. You want the stitch nice and close to the edge of the fabric. That's about sort of 2mm off the edge there. So if you grab the drive side, grab the middle layer and place that on. Fold that back and just put a crease in or draw a line just above that zip. And then you just stick that on with the Velcro on that white line. Like so. That goes on like so. And what we've got to do now is transfer the white line that I drew So I've done it so that it creates a barrier between the top and the bottom of the bag. Now what you do is you grab the non-drive side, that's the one with the single zip. You grab your middle piece, you lay it over. You should have those marks should line up perfectly, and then you just stitch it together. But my stitch is going to be very close to the edge. Yeah. So now we have kind of made a pocket. That's a nice envelope pocket. And we've got a weatherproof zip. So we've got our drive side and our non-drive side. So I've got a nice piece already pre-cut. It is 10 centimeters wide. Now this needs to be long enough to go all the way round the frame bag. I'm going to start at the bottom of the bag and I'm going to go around and I'm going to mark on these scribe marks on this panel here, and I want scribe marks on both sides. I've got my notches. I'm going to start at the bottom of the bag. That line's there. I've got one scribe mark there. I've got another scribe mark there, and you just work your way all the way around. So I have my marks on this piece here, and then I do my little slots again. Just cut out a little notch, and if you fold it and crease it and go all the way across, and do a notch on the other side. You then have two notches, one at the bottom, one at the top, which correspond to each other. You do that all the way along with all of the marks. So next thing is you get your 50mm webbing, stick some glue on it all the way along, and stick it to the back side of your fabric. This is the outside, the brown. This is the inside. And you stick it centrally all the way along. You start at one end, at the end, and go all the way. And I've actually got a little mark just here, and that shows the end of the circumference of the bag. And I've just stopped the webbing just short because I don't want to build too many layers up when these two ends get joined together, and then stitch it together. Okay, with the back tack at both ends. On the outside you just see the stitch. What I've got on here, I've got these marks which line up with these marks, and then where you have a corner, instead of cutting a slit out in here, I just put a little snippet. So here these are two snippets close together. That would be the front corner of the bag. So what I do now is I grab my 30mm webbing, and I'm going to start just up from the end. That's where the webbing is, right at the end. I'm going to start just inside. And then about every 6 centimeters, I'm going to do a load of forwards and backwards stitching. So I've done one there, another one there, another one there, another one there, and you just keep going all the way to the end of this strip. So there you have the middle piece with a webbing ladder. So now's the fun bit. It's the sort of the closing parts of it all. We got our three major bits. So that's the two sides, the drive side and the non-drive side, and the middle section with the webbing ladder on. So you've got to recognise obviously all your marks, and I know that this mark here lines up with this corner, which means that these two marks, I don't know if you can see, they line up perfectly. This is, let's have a little look, what have I got? Yeah, it's just under 3 mil, it's about sort of 2 to 3 mil stitch length. Now when you get to the corner, so there's a corner there, you want to put a little slit. I don't know if you can see that. If I bend the fabric, you'll see there's the slit opening up. So that, by putting a slit in but not going beyond, you don't want the slit to go beyond your seam line, putting that slit in is going to allow you to bend that around the corner. It's always a nice feeling when you get the notches all lining up. My hands are a little bit, they're not really working. The fingers haven't got a lot, they've lost a lot of strength. Just finished the Atlas Mountain race and I'm still, my hands are struggling a little bit. So we're at the bottom of the bag now. Last little bend. What you've got to do now is join that together. Okay. So there we have it. We're making the bag, we're putting it together inside out. I've got the non-drive side on first. It's just the way that's worked out. You might end up putting the drive side on first. It doesn't really matter. But this is the critical bit. This is where it can all go a little bit wrong. So it looks good now, but when I get to stitch this side on, if I am clumsy with these scribe marks and I don't get them to line up, then you end up with the two panels slightly skewy and you have an awful looking bag. So this bit you have to get right. So I've got my drive side here. I'm going to open up the top zip. Doesn't really matter about the bottom zip. I'm opening up the top zip so that, because I'm stitching this bag inside out, and by opening up the top zip, it makes it easier for me to then turn the bag the right way round after it's all being put together. I've got two scribe marks which I recognise are the right ones. I'm going to start with them. Got my seam line drawn and off we go. just going to stop and start again. So I've stopped there. This is where the join is. So I've stopped just at the join. I'm going to flip the join over, and then I can start on the other side. So difficult. Got no strength to my fingers. I've already got the slits, which means I can bend the fabric round the corner nicely. You want, when you do bend it round, you want that needle to be, right in the corner. Well, so far so good. That's another scribe mark that lines up. Another one, that one's slightly off, but I'll forgive myself for that. It's only about a millimetre out. Mind the Velcro, don't get that caught in the seam. Like that. So you have your bag. That's all put together. It's inside out. Got a Velcro that side. Got Velcro this side. You can, if you really want, you can edge this so that, I don't know, it looks pretty. I generally don't bother with my own bags. It's just unnecessary. You don't see it when it's turned inside out. So let's turn this inside out now. So I've joined the Velcro together in there. That creates a floor, a barrier between the top of the bag and the bottom of the bag. So on the drive side, we've got 2 zips, top compartment, bottom compartment. I normally put tools and heavier stuff up there and food and stuff like that in the top. And then on this side, we've got a really nice envelope. It's ideal for, I don't know, maps and things like that.